And in this demo, what we'll basically cover is the what exactly is Python and who should choose Python and what are the career options using Python and the course coverage, like what will be the full course coverage which we are going to give in this Python batch one class. And post that we'll be kind of giving one or two real world projects so that which will where you can leverage your understanding of classes in that projects and you can build some hands-on expertise. Okay. Okay. So to get started, what is Python exactly? So Python is a, as you know, it's a programming language which is interpreted. So interpreted in the sense, you have this C, CPP. These are compiled languages. So when we are writing code, it should be first compiled into machine understandable language, and then it should be interpreted. But in case of Python, it is handling compilation itself. So it is kind of, it will skip that step for us. It will directly interpret the language and it will provide us the output. So the main advantage of this is like it will save the compilation time for us. So it will be bit fast compared to them. Not in every case, only in few cases. Okay. And it is dynamically typed. So dynamically typed in the sense, if we go with Java or C CPP, like you have to declare the types of the variables which you are creating. Per se, if you are creating one integer variable, so you have to prehand declare it. Like I am creating a variable A which is of type integer. But in case of Python, it is dynamically typed. So we have to just assign a variable to like value to the variable based on the value which we are assigning. It will kind of show us like it will automatically interpret what is the data type of that variable. So you don't need to like explicitly mention the type of the variable which you have defined. Also, it is dynamically typed, which makes our lives easy because you don't need to concentrate more on the data types. It will automatically do it itself. And if there are any incompatible data types on which we are performing operations, so it will interpreter will automatically throw an exception saying that these data types are not compatible. So we'll cover more of this when we like talk about the variables and variable declarations. Okay. And then functional. So these functional and object oriented both are kind of two different paradigms. Okay, design principles, programming principles. So Python supports both functional principles as well as the object oriented principles. Functional principles is kind of like, I'll just give an example for functional, like one principle of the function so that you'll get some idea. So functional principle, like one principle here is like a function should be able to accept a function. Okay, let's say we have one function. Function is nothing but a code block which will do some job for us. Let's say we need to perform some calculation like addition of two numbers. We can kind of create a function for that and we'll accept two variables like a and b. Both are integers and we'll return the result as a plus b. This is nothing but function. Okay. We'll cover like there is a lot more to cover in functions. I like we can go through that when we actually cover those topics. Okay, in our course. So it should be able to accept a function. So in one function we can pass another function as an argument to the function, and the function will be able to return the function as well instead of the values. Okay. In case of addition, we'll be giving a plus b result, right? So if we go with other functions, some more complex function, it should be able to return another function within function. Okay. So this is one sort of functional principle. Okay. This is not specific to Python. It's kind of programming principles. Okay. And coming to object oriented. So I think most of you are aware of object oriented if you are into programming background or CSC background. So this is nothing but Python treats everything as an object. Okay, be it a variable, be it a function, be it a class, everything will be an object for the Python. So the main advantage of object orientation is code portability and code separability. So it will be easy to maintain the code. Okay, if we have objects with us. instead of a single block of code, we can create like objects of functions, like one function for each, like one object for each functionality. So in that way, it will be easy for us to maintain the code. Okay. Then coming to why Python? Why exactly we can choose Python over other languages? As I said, it's very simple. Due to this dynamic typing, like it is like as simple as the plain English. If you are confident enough in your like reading English and understanding English, it is nothing but like you'll be able to easily understand the Python terms and this Python code. Okay, the reason being there won't be any type declarations or any variable declarations, and the code will be kind of normal English. That's the main reason people are opting for Python. And then performance. As I said, there is no compilation in the Python. It is directly interpreting the code which we are giving. So it is saving a compilation time for us. So in the real-time applications or low latency applications, performance will be the main thing when we consider this coding. And then dynamically typed. As I said, again, it makes our coding ways the way we code simple without any type declarations or any variable like type of variable declarations. Okay. And then we have huge community for the Python. So if you go online, like there will be n number of communities where people are supporting Python. They're constantly contributing to the development of the language. Like if you see Python will be having very frequent revisions in the versions of the Python language. The reason being they have huge community of developers and time to time they'll be incorporating the feedback from users and the demand from programmers like who are working on Python. They'll be considering their demand. Even you can become a Python like a contributor. Like if you feel that the way currently there is one thing in one way, and if you feel there is another way which will be more efficient, then you can contribute yourself. Like you can contribute to Python, and you can give the release notes. They can incorporate your feedback into the upcoming version. Okay, we have huge community for Python and support for third-party libraries. So basically, if you have, Python has vast scope for every domain. So there are many third-party libraries which are compatible with Python, like which they'll be kind of ready to use third-party libraries. In case, if you see, we have this SQL, which is nothing but database. So we have MySQL connector, which is a third party library for Python. So using MySQL connector, what you can do is you can do all the stuff which you can do in a SQL server. You can initialize an engine, you can create a cursor, and you can execute SQL queries like by creating databases and updating databases. So there are n number of like not n number of each and for each and every in-demand technologies will be having this libraries supported APIs. Like libraries are nothing but will be using making API calls using libraries. So you have this Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Azure. For each cloud, we'll be having separate library. For Amazon, we'll be having Boto 3, and for Azure, we'll be having Azure Pi module. Okay, which using which we can interact with the cloud technologies as well. So there is huge like what you say, portion of third party libraries. And then coming to the rapid development. Okay, rapid development is nothing but there are like number of inbuilt libraries ready for us. If you are starting with one application development, there is no need of doing everything from scratch. As I said, we have this separate library for MySQL database management, separate library for cloud management, separate library for operating system management, file handling. So there will be readily available inbuilt libraries which are kind of closely integrated into Python. So using this, the main advantage is we can skip those development works. The developers has already done their work and they are providing us those in the form of libraries and packages. We'll cover more about it in the advanced Python. Okay. So you by leveraging those already available libraries and packages, we can kind of fully wholly focus on our function as our like core functionality of the application. No need to bother about the other functionalities. And then we have rapid support for AI and ML. So if you see in the past 6 to 7 years, the AI is kind of creating wonders in the software industry. As you know, artificial intelligence and machine learning are kind of booming. It's kind of one of the top technologies in industry currently. So, if you see any sort of machine learning applications or artificial intelligence applications, and more recently we have this generative AI like chat GPTs and other stuff. So all these leverages Python. Like mostly these are built on top of Python. They are using Python as their backend, and they have like kind of vast support for Python. Like we have readily available APIs for each and every trending tools and technologies currently in artificial intelligence. So few years back we have R language as well, but currently completely Python has completely taken over this AI industry, and it is kind of one of the most demanding programming language for these machine learning and AI experts. And coming to applications, so what are the applications which will leverage Python as a language and as a framework? So the first and foremost thing will be, of course, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So the Python is the core for this. The reason being, as I said, we have this rapid development, right? Third-party libraries and contributions. Due to this, we have n number of support like scientific libraries available for this. So because scientific libraries are kind of one which will perform high-level computations. Like we have NumPy, Pandas, and then we have scikit-learn, which is kind of full collection of the machine learning libraries, algorithms basically. We have huge support, like Python supports almost each and every scientific libraries which were used in the artificial intelligence and machine learning. Okay, we have the stats model, which is kind of one main component in designing our these machine learning applications. Okay, and second is web development. Okay, as you know, Python has many frameworks, but most widely used are Django and Flask. So once we are good with Python programming language, we can move on to, and if we want to pursue the web development career, front end development, we can opt for Django, which is kind of what you say, it's very famous one. Like there are many top companies which were using Django as their web development framework. The main like the one famous website is Instagram. So Instagram's whole application is based on the Python Django as a web framework. So they are leveraging the Python Django for their website and for their app UI creations. Okay. And then you have software development. So software development is nothing but the Python backend. Okay, web development is at front end, and software development is at backend. So most like there are many huge like many top giants in the IT industry who are leveraging who has Python as their backend. Okay, one main example is YouTube. We have YouTube and we have Netflix. So these are using Python as their backend. The reason being, as you know, YouTube and Netflix, they are kind of solely based on the user personalization. User personalization, nothing but they'll adapt to our users, for example, if you are using YouTube and if you use it twice or thrice, from next onwards, you'll be able to see more videos which were related to the your interests. So the reason behind this is machine learning. So they'll be performing behavior analysis using machine learning algorithms. They'll come up with the most likely content which you are probably interested in watching. Okay. So these sort of things, they have this sort of artificial intelligence and machine learning stuff, right? So for this reason, they are leveraging Python as their backend language, okay, programming language. And coming to game development, Python is not that popular into this aspect, but there are few companies which are leveraging Python for game development. If you have any interest on game development, you can also explore that side of the Python as well. And then data analytics and engineering. This is kind of closely tied with AI and ML. Okay, data analytics and engineering is kind of pre-step to the artificial machine learning algorithm creation. Okay, model building. So this is all about like extracting the useful information from data, raw data. So we'll be having raw data with us, and what data engineering is all about is we'll be converting that raw data into the structured and useful data. which is organized in a organized manner. And then we can perform analytical operations on that to understand the trends and techniques in that data. So you might be aware of Power BI, Tableau, these things, right? There will be doing them using cursors and this thing at UI level. So at back end, we can programmatically do that using pandas and NumPy libraries, which we'll be covering in the further tutorials. And as I said, career options. What are all the career options which you can choose when you have strong Python background with you? So the first and foremost thing is machine learning engineer. So today, almost not like almost all the machine learning jobs which we have in the industry, they are demanding Python as the prerequisite. Like Python will be the only programming language which all the machine learning engineers are using today. Okay, that is the as you know, that's kind of very trending career in this for the next 1 decade. Machine learning and artificial intelligence will be kind of ruling our IT industry. And then we have data analyst. We have data analytics, right? We have this data analyst separate position where we'll be kind of we need to be very good at Python and its supported analytical libraries using which we can perform the data analysis. And then data scientist. Data scientist is like pretty much similar to machine learning engineer. Like the expert, like engineers with 4 to 5 years of expertise, they can be termed as machine learning engineers. But data scientist, he'll be more into research side. Okay. He'll be kind of if we have one problem or one data with us, he need to analyze that and he'll be coming up with the probable solutions and designs for that. He need to analyze data, he needs to perform data engineering, and he need to come up with the probable modeling for that. And then he'll be building models himself. So data scientist, it will be kind of covering all the aspects of data analysts, data engineers, and machine learning engineers. Okay, and then cyber security engineers. So we have like very high demand in for Python cyber security as well. Okay, and then we have software developer. We can opt for like just Python developer job roles. Okay, there are many Python developer job roles as well. If we are good with core and advanced in Python, we can opt with the Python developer soft roles. And then we have full stack developer. As I said, full stack is nothing but combination of backend plus front end. Okay. As a full stack developer, you should be able to write code for your application. And then you should be able to create databases and manage them because database is the main thing using which soft front end and like backend will be integrated, right? And then you should be able to develop your own web page using Django or Python or Fast API. We have many these frameworks, but these are the three main things which companies will be expecting from us. And then we have test automation engineer regarding this automation testing, not from like from past 2 decades, Python is kind of very famous in automation testing domain. If you are interested into automation, like QA automation roles, then Python scripting is kind of one of the important skill which we need to possess to get into that automation career. You are fine with my face, right? Like the speed which I am telling, or like you want me to slow down a bit. You can just interrupt if you are facing any sort of issues. Okay. And then we'll go to the course plan, like what will be our course syllabus and what will be covering in this like Python core and advanced course. And this plan we can discuss. Okay. Now, so the first we'll start with the basics of the Python. Okay, basics in the sense how we can get started with Python, like software installation and what IDEs we can use for Python. And we'll start with the basic these things like printing our first like as you know in each and every programming language the first thing we'll do is printing hello world, like making our code to say as hello world. So we'll start with in that simple basics in Python and how we'll be kind of writing code, like how we'll structure our projects using in those IDs and how we can write our code. And then we'll be covering variables. Okay, variables are nothing but, as I said, we can cover how we can declare variables, what are the rules for naming variables, and what are the, we have this standards, PEP8. We have this one PEP8, which will form certain rules and regulations for programming in Python. Because this is Python is kind of dynamically typed and we don't have any type declarations as well, right? So that doesn't mean we can name our variables in any way. There are some web page standards which industry is othering. Okay. When we are entering into the IT domain, they won't see our solution to that. They'll see how we have written our solution. Okay. For a particular Python problem. So those should be like not fully, but at least they should be closely other to the pepage standards. Okay. And then we'll be having data types, like what are the basic data types available? Like we'll be covering numeric data types like integers and floating points, and we'll be having string data types, and we'll be having these binary data types. So we'll be covering all those in the data types section. And then we have operators. So these operators are nothing but our mathematical operators. We have many mathematical operators like addition, subtraction, and multiplication. And then we have logical operators like and, or. So all these operations and how to use them and how to use them with our variables, we'll be covering in this operator section. And then sequence types. So sequence types, ideally sequence types are part of data types, okay? But the reason why we have separated it is those are a bit complex. So data types are simple integers, floating points, and decimals, okay? Coming to sequence types, all the sequences, like we have string. String is nothing but a word, okay? Uh, are you aware of Python before, or this is the first time? This is the first time. So we have a single word. Let's say we have this WORD. It's a word, right? That's word is nothing but a string in Python. I think you might be aware of these naming conventions. Okay, string in Python. So within string, we'll be having characters. Each character of that word will be the characters. Okay, that is a sequence of characters is called string. So similarly, we'll be having list types in Python. List will be the collection of objects. Let's say we have some numbers and some words with us. Yeah, we can combine all of them into a list. Okay, we can collect all of them into a single variable, which will be called a list. It might be list. Okay, uh, uh, and then we'll be having tuples. Tuples and lists are similar, but since you are listening this for the first time, when we actually cover those content, you will clearly understand what is what. Okay. And then we have dictionaries like key value pairs, and then we have these sets, and then we have this range functions. So there are many sequence functions. We'll be covering all those in detail. And then input and output functions. So the basic thing for every programming language is accepting input from user and providing output to user. That will be the main aim for each and every programming language. So we'll be covering all sorts of input functions like which were available in Python, and how we can output things to console in this input and output section. And then we have flow control statements. So flow control statements, as name suggests, flow control will control the flow of program. Let's say we have one route with us from point A to point B. We'll be going in like a specified manner from route A to route B. So in between, let's say there might be some road diversions. If we have some road diversions, we can't proceed. We need to take other route. If we have some dead ends, we can't go beyond that. We need to completely come back the way we like from to beginning, and we can start with the other route. So this is basically controlling the flow of the program. Okay, from beginning to end, we'll be having program with us, and it will basically flow control statements will control flow, how exactly our program should follow line by line. Like it will execute till line 5, and then if it encounters any flow control statement like if or else, at that point it will evaluate the condition. Based on the condition, it will control the flow, whether it needs to go inside the if loop or it should just skip that loop. So the all the and also we have this if else is conditional basically. If else are conditional statements where we'll be kind of based on conditions, we'll be executing blocks of code. And then we have this for loop. For loop is kind of unconditional loop, which will be kind of executed n number of times. Let's say if we want to print numbers from 1 to 100, we can't add 100 prints in that case, right? That's very inefficient. So what we can do is we can leverage for loop in that case, and we can print numbers from 1 to 100 in one go. And then we have while loop. Okay, while is kind of mix of both conditional as well as this looping. Okay, as long as a condition is true, the while loop will be continuously executing the statements within that. We'll be covering all these sort of conditional and looping statements in flow control. And then we have command line arguments. So this command line arguments is one of the least touched topic in Python. The command line argument is nothing but, let's say we have developed one Python program, and the Python program will be having extension of .py. Okay, we have this. We have if we have this music file, we'll be having .mp3. If we have some movies, we'll be having .mp4. Those are nothing but Python extensions. So if we have .py or .pyc, .pyc is kind of very less used. That is nothing but Python compile. The .py is Python. As I said, we don't have compile. We don't need to compile our code, right? So when we run the Python, the interpreter, it will automatically create .pyc object itself, okay, file, which is Python compile. It will convert all our code into byte language, which will be understood by system. We'll be just giving it a plain language which we understand, but that needs to be converted into bytes and that needs to be passed to the interpreter, right? For running that code. In what command line arguments will do is we have this Windows command prompts or PowerShell or many other command line tools, right? So when executing our Python code from that, like we'll be directly, let's say we have one developed one small application which will be calculator.py. What calculator.py will do, it will take two numbers and it will provide us all the mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, subtraction and multiplication and division. Okay. So we have saved it as a calculator.py file. And we need to, without using IDE, we need to execute it from command line. Okay. When we are executing it through command line, the program will accept two arguments, like number A and number B. And it will take, let's say, A and B, and it will return us A plus B, A minus B, and A multiplied with B, and A divided by B. So for doing that, in command line, we can directly pass the arguments, okay? We just need to give Python and the file name, and then argument one and argument two. And in within function, like in the file where we have written our function, we'll be accepting those command line arguments directly without opening file. We can directly execute them from command prompt by passing the command line arguments, and we can accept them on our function, and we can kind of perform all mathematical operations. So we'll be covering that thing in the command line arguments. And then we have functions and lambdas. So this is where the actual Python starts, because in Python, whatever thing we are doing, it should be in functions. So functions are kind of core building blocks in Python. So the function is nothing but we'll be grouping some code into one functionality. Let's say we have this calculator, right? In calculator, let's say we don't need everything into one in a single file. So what we can do is we can divide them into different functions. Addition will be one function of calculation. Subtraction will be one function. Multiplication will be one function. So we can divide them into different functions and we can kind of make use of them. Okay. If we need to perform only addition, then we can call the addition function. So it will be basically combining like a piece of code which will perform certain function into one block. That will be the Python function. And then lambdas. Lambdas are kind of stateless functions. without any function definitions, we can work using lambdas. We can kind of create functions on the go. So we'll cover more like in depth with multiple examples all about all these things. Okay. And then we have object-oriented programming. We'll be covering all the object-oriented principles in the programming language. These are not specific to Python. Like these are general object-oriented programming principles. Like we have this encapsulation, we have this inheritance, we have this polymorphism, we have this abstraction. So I think most of the CSC students might not on CSC, each and everyone will be aware of these things because we'll be going through all these things in our first year, right? In our C programming, these things. And then we'll be having exception handling. So Python have one of the most powerful exception handling capabilities. So exception handling is nothing but handling exceptions. Let's say we are expecting something. Okay, let's say we have this calculator program with us, and what calculator program expects is it will expect two numbers from us, which will be of integer type or which will be of decimal type. Okay, but there should be numbers, only then it will be able to perform the calculation. Let's say if we are giving some word and some number. Let's say I have given number 10 and some word course to the calculator. And it won't be able to perform anything on that. Since we don't have any data type declaration here, word 10 is nothing but number. And course is nothing but a word type. And we won't be able to perform additions and other operations between a number and a word. So in those sort of cases, like in those conditions, our program will break. If we think of this from application perspective, there will be lots and lots of modules in the applications. And each module will be expecting some sort of input. And like in the course of that application run, there might be like many high chances there will be changes in the inputs. Okay, let's say we have this when we are creating a Facebook or Instagram account, it will ask us for password. Okay, when we enter a password and if it is not following their standards of password, like we need some capitals, some small numbers, and some digits and some special symbols in that. It won't accept. It will just throw an error. It will display an error message saying password should contain these characters. Okay, how they are achieving that is using exception handling. They have some predefined set of conditions which they will be checking. Okay, if those conditions are not meeting, it won't break the code. It's not like we are entering wrong password and the application crashes. That is not a desired thing, right? So for handling those sort of exceptions, in our case, we have calculator with which expects two numbers. But apart from numeric types, if we are giving any other types like string types or complex data structure types like list or anything, the program should display a error message saying that please enter only numbers. Okay, before going into actual execution itself, we need to capture that particular exception saying that because we know that this is the calculator program and we are expecting numbers from that. And we can clearly catch them using the try and except block in Python. Okay, those are used for the exception handling in Python. Okay. And then we have file handling. So there are many places where we need to work with the files actually. Like we might need to open files like text files or other XML files or Excel files or any binary files. All those file handling operations and pickling operations. There is one particular technique in Python using which we can pickle the binary objects into pickle objects. Okay, which is the Python's convention. Like we have this, let's say we have some set of files and we are zipping them into .zip file. You might be aware of .zip files, right? That is nothing but they are kind of creating one binary type, which is called zip, which will be holding all the other files, which we are compressing. Similarly, we have pickling and unpickling concepts in Python, using which we can manage the binary file types. And then we have regular expressions. Okay, regular expressions is this is used for string comparisons. Okay, as just a while ago, I have told you regarding this password conditions, right? Like password should contain this many numbers, this many digits, and special characters. So these sort of advanced string comparison operations. Okay, like we can make use of regular expressions for performing advanced string comparison operations, not like string A is equal to B sort of things. We can check for particular patterns, and we can extract required things. Let's say we have some 100 pages of document with us, and we are expected to extract all the pin codes available in that. So using regular expressions, what we can do is we can parse that as a text, and we can search for that particular pattern. Pin code will be like vary from different country to different country. So in our India, we'll be having 6 digits in the pin code. So we can construct a regular expression which will be searching whole document for that particular pattern, and it will return that to us. So for advanced string comparison and string finding operations. And then we have date and time. We'll be covering all the date and time operations using a date like a time module, date module of Python, and how we can perform date and time operations. Okay, and then we have threading. Well, threading is a bit advanced one basically. This is related to parallelism. Okay, we'll be having this parallelization, right? Which for enhancing our application's performance, like parallel processing. So we'll be covering all the concepts of threading, like multi-threading, how we can create threads, and how we can make use of the cores of the system. We'll be having cores in CPU, right? CPU cores. We can leverage all those cores to perform the multi-threaded executions of Python. And then we have networking. We'll be covering the networking operations, like how to make a HTTP request using Python, and how to get the content from APIs like HTTP endpoints, and how to send emails using Python. All those things will be covered in the networking. And then we have database operations, like we'll be creating a MySQL connector, and we'll be creating a database, and we'll execute some queries using the SQL engine from Python, and how to manage databases using Python. All those things we'll be covering in the database operations. And then we have unit testing. So unit testing, we have this testing, right? For each and every programming, we'll be having testing. So testing is the one which QA team will perform, like QA testing teams will perform. Unit testing is the one which developers like should know. Unit testing is nothing but will be testing units of our program. Let's say we have defined one function. Let's say we have this calculator function, which we talked about, right? In calculator function, we'll be passing two numbers as input, and it will give us the arithmetic like operations or mathematical result of the these two numbers, right? So this thing, we need to make sure the function will be working properly. For doing that, what we need to do is we'll be writing a unit test cases. The unit test cases will be in such a way that we'll be having some small sample of input, which will be in our case numbers, and some sample output. Let's say I'm giving 2 and 5 as input to my function. And what I'm expecting is addition will be 7, and multiplication will be 10, and so on. So in our unit testing, we'll be using this input and expected output, and we'll run it on our function, and we'll check if the function is able to provide the expected result or not. So in this way, we need to make sure that we'll be unit testing all our components of the application before giving it to QA. So we'll be covering all those unit testing aspects in this model. And after these things, if time permits, we'll be covering some additional topics. And first thing here will be debugging fundamentals. Okay, debugging in the sense before moving code to other environment, we need to debug it. We need to debug it and find the potential errors and mistakes in our code. How we can do that line by line using different IDEs like PyCharm, which will be used for a Python development. We can cover those things here. And then we have virtual environments. Even virtual environments, a bit advanced one, like where we'll be having isolated environments for our application. Why we'll be using that and what are the advantages of using virtual environment? We'll cover because these are kind of mostly used in our applications, real world applications in software developments. And then we'll be covering NumPy module, which is kind of one of the mostly used module for this data analytical operations and scientific computing. This matrix operate, we have these matrices and these things, right, in our mathematics. For performing those high level operations, we'll be using NumPy. And then we'll be covering pandas. Like this pandas is one of the most powerful data munging tool. Okay, we have this all machine learning and artificial intelligence applications, right? The pandas is must have for those, like if you are opting for any search path or data engineers path, the pandas is a must have. This is similar to our database. Okay, in database, we'll be having table with the some rows and columns. In case of pandas, we'll be having some data frame, which will be tabular, having tabular structure and will be kind of performing like high level and like most advanced operations on those table on the tabular data using pandas. And then we have Python packaging options. So we have developed our code and we have done everything. The next thing to do is deploying that code. How we'll be exactly deploying that code? So we'll be covering various aspects of the Python packaging. Like let's say we have this calculator file with the calculator function with us. So we can pack it into one file, wheel package. Okay, you can construct a wheel package using that and you can use it in any way. You can use it in other applications. You can just import that wheel package and you can work using that. And you can also host that online. Like I have told we have these third-party libraries, right? Python support many libraries. So you can create your own package and you can host it on PyPI. There will be one PyPI, which will be where we'll be hosting all our third-party libraries and even the some inbuilt libraries, which will be importing from there. So all the packaging options using like after our development, all these things will be covering in this. Okay. This is the initial plan. And if time permits and if we have any request from your side, like we need to cover this aspect of the Python and they are demanding this aspect of the Python, we can incorporate them into our syllabus. Okay. And then will how will be like how exactly our day-to-day plan will be like. The plan will be initially will be starting with theoretical part about each and every in each and every module. We start with the theoretical part and after explaining each and every concept, I'll be showing a code example for that. Okay. And you are expected to follow along with me because doing whole module and going to the directly to the exercises is not an ideal way to learn the things. Okay. After each and every mod like topic which I'll be covering, first we'll be having theoretical and I'll be having some small example for that. And you need to follow along with me and try it out on your own. I'll explain multiple things like multiple ideas where you can, which you can make use of for doing this. So with after each and every module, we'll be having some project, small project kind of thing. The project will be designed in such a way that it will cover all the aspects we have covered so far. Let's say we have covered our sequence types. When I'm designing a like exercise for that and giving to you, so you can accept all the concepts which we have covered from basics to sequence type in that. In that way, what happens, you'll be kind of constantly refreshing your knowledge of the things which you have learned. And after some two or three topics, we'll be kind of conducting a quiz kind of thing, just to make sure that you are kind of thorough with the things which we have done. And then once the project is ended, we'll be showing the two or three real world projects where we actually implemented Python, be it our current company's project or anything. So we'll be showing the real world projects where we have which was built using Python. Okay, these are the things which we are covering. As I said, It's a kind of two-way thing. If we are expecting some other things from us, like your feedback is welcome, and we'll be kind of incorporating it into our course plan.